Chapter 8. No One to the Rescue. After that first night of terror, Bum experienced many more as Ji-Hun grew older. Thankfully, Sangwoo never treated his son like he treated Bum, despite breaking Bum's legs again when Ji-Hun was 3, and slicing open his neck again when he was 4. Sangwoo was still able to keep his son's trust, love and adoration. He never hurt Bum in front of him, always telling him it was mummy and daddy time and making him leave the room as he beat and tortured Bum. Over time, Bum slowly lost his determination to leave, because it seemed no matter what he did, he couldn't escape his husband's clutches. Sangwoo had yet to put his hands on Ji-Hun, and Bum only prayed that he could protect his son from his father if he ever hurt him. Sangwoo was very aware of Bum's mindset when it came to Ji-Hun. He would even send subtle threats to Bum through their son as a reminder to behave. He didn't do this often, but every time he did, Bum would get sick with worry. On one such occasion, Bum was making dinner as Ji-Hun, who was now 5, coloured at the kitchen table. Sangwoo had been released from work early, so his unexpected presence was a surprise to both Bum and Ji-Hun. "I'm home!"
"Daddy! Welcome home!"
Ji-Hun ran into his father's legs and hugged them.
"I drew you a picture!"
Sangwoo picked him up and walked over to the table. "Oh, thank you, Ji-Hun. Hey, babe." Bum gave him a weak smile as he chopped vegetables. "You're home early? Welcome home." "Yeah, the boss let everyone leave early today. Is dinner done yet?" No, but I'm almost finished." Sangwoo sat Ji-Hun back into his seat at the table and ruffled his hair. He stood behind Bum and wrapped his arms around his slim waist, looking over his shoulder at what he was preparing. "Oh, I know what you're making. Seems like we're missing chili pepper." "Oh, you're right. Ji-Hun doesn't handle hot things well, so I didn't add it." "Well, that's too bad. He's got to learn to eat what he doesn't like sometime. How about Ji-Hun and I stay here and prepare the rest while you go get some?" Sangwoo untied Bum's apron as he spoke. Oh, it's fine. I can finish it." "I don't want you to be alone with Ji-Hun." Sangwoo pulled the knife out of Bum's hand. "Nope, it's just a quick stop at the market. By the time you come back, we'll be all done." Ji-Hun watched the whole exchange from his seat at the table. Eyes sparkling, he asked,
"I can help, Daddy?"
Sangwoo put his car keys in Bum's hand and pushed him toward the kitchen entrance. Bum nearly lost his balance but caught himself on the counter. When he looked back, Ji-Hun stood in front of Sangwoo, his father's hand on his small shoulder and the kitchen knife in the other hand. "Yeah, of course you can help me, son, but be careful." He lowered the knife next to his son's ear, a gentle smile on his face as he looked at Bum. "Knives can be sharp. Why aren't you leaving yet, babe? Dinner won't make itself." "I got your message loud and clear. Please don't hurt him while I'm gone." Bum hobbled out of the house and drove to the store as quickly as possible. After his legs were broken again, he relied more on his cane but walked even slower than before. Never being set properly, they were constantly in pain and bothered him whether he was standing or sitting. Even with the condition of his legs, Bum hurried as much as he could as he bought the chili peppers from the nearby store. The entire time his mind tortured him with images of what he would return to. He was scared to death that Sangwoo might hurt Ji-Hun. He finished the errand in about half an hour and returned home. "I hope he's okay." He opened the door and began taking his shoes off in the foyer. When he started taking off the second shoe, he heard Ji-Hun yelling from the kitchen.
Yeah!
"No, I knew it would hurt him. I shouldn't have left." Bum ignored his second shoe and limped down the hall to the kitchen. "Ji-Hun? Sangwoo, please, don't hurt him." Bum was already in tears as he finally made it into the kitchen, but what he saw completely baffled him.
Flaming laser charge attack complete! Take that! And that! Huh? Ha!
Ji-Hun landed soft punches to Sangwoo's stomach. The apron Bum wore earlier was tied around his neck like a cape. Sangwoo doubled over after the punches landed. "Ugh! Oh, no! Flaming Laser Man is so strong. How could I ever win?" Ji-Hun pointed at his father's face.
Say you're sorry and don't eat this dirty for dinner again!
Sangwoo sat on his knees and bowed his head. Yes, I'm sorry, Flaming Laser Sir. I promise I won't do it again." Ji-Hun patted Sangwoo's head.
Holy villains do bad things, Daddy. You can't do bad things, okay?
Sangwoo grabbed Ji-Hun's hand and held it in front of him, his face completely neutral. "Do you think Daddy is a villain? Do I seem like a bad man?" Ji-Hun smiled and jumped up and down.
No! You're Daddy! The best Daddy!
Sangwoo laughed and pulled him onto his lap. Oh yeah? We'll see if you still say that after my special attack. He began to tickle Ji-Hun's sides and the child howled with laughter. Bum still couldn't believe what he just saw. So, he's not hurt? Thank God. He slid down the kitchen wall as he willed his heart to stop thundering in his chest. Escaping from the tickle attack, Ji-Hun noticed that his mother had returned.
Mama?
Ji-Hun ran over to Bum's side.
Why are you crying? Are you hurt somewhere?
Sangwoo stepped over Bum's legs and picked up the bag of chili peppers he dropped in the hallway. Are you hurt? Not hurts. And no. Sangwoo walked back into the kitchen with the peppers. There's nothing wrong with Mama. Isn't that right? Sangwoo smirked at him, his eyes daring him to say otherwise. Bum wiped at his eyes and turned to his son. No, sweetie. Mama isn't hurt. I just had something in my eyes. Come on, let's finish making dinner. The next day, after Sangwoo went to work, Bum started doing the laundry. He left Ji-Hun watching his favourite cartoons in the TV room as he tried to get through as many chores as possible before he had to make lunch. Maybe I should make today's lunch vegetarian so there's more meat for dinner. Ji-Hun likes carrots, so I could make something around that. Suddenly, Bum felt his stomach sour. He held his stomach as his gut churned. I don't feel good. Was it something I ate? But I only had rice porridge this morning. He stood from his kneeling position, but hit with a wave of dizziness nearly fell over. He leaned against the dryer he had been loading with Sangwoo's work shirts. Am I coming down with something? I need to get to the bathroom, just in case I have to throw up. He closed his eyes as his head spun and tried to make his way out of the laundry room. He only made a few steps before he fell over and landed on the tiled floor with a smack. Everything went black. Bum woke up covered in sweat. He felt nauseous and like death warmed over. His vision was hazy and his head felt like it was in a fog. His body felt too heavy to move. I feel awful. Do I have the flu? I'm so hot. Slowly, he realized that he wasn't alone. Ji-Hun was crouched next to his head and looking down at him. His small hands brushed at his hair.
Mama? Mama? Why are you sleeping on the floor? Is this a game?
The inside of Bum's mouth was coated with saliva, but after a few tries he was able to croak out a few words. Ji-Hun, Mama is sick. Don't get too close.
Mama's sick? Can I help? Does it hurt?
No. Go play. Mama will be fine.
Daddy isn't home. I can go calling for help.
No. He tried to grab his son's small ankle, but he missed and his hand slid on his bare foot. Daddy is too busy working. Don't call him. Mama is scared. Stay with me? Sangwoo would kill me if he had to leave early from work.
Okay, I can sing the Boo-Boo song. Will that make you feel better?
Yes, I'd like that. Small hands patted Bum's hair as his son sung the song.
Boo-Boo, go away, don't stay no more. Ouch! Time to play. Boo-Boo, go away. There! Mama, feel better now?
Thank you, sweetie. I feel much better.
Are you sure? You still look sick. Why don't you lay down in bed?
I can't move, sweetie. But it's alright. Just stay here with me, okay?
Okay, Mama. Mama? Are you sleeping? Mama?
Bum's vision faded to black as he passed out again. The next time he woke, Ji-Hun was roughly shaking his shoulder.
Mama? Wake up! I'm hungry! Mama! No! It's not sleep time! Mama! Mama!
Bum tried his best to wake up, but he simply couldn't. He tried to respond to his son, but his tongue was heavy in his mouth and it felt like a thick cloud fogged up his mind. He tried to fight it, but his consciousness was quickly claimed by darkness again. When he woke again, Ji-Hun was curled against his sides, playing with his favourite action figure, the flaming laser. The child jumped up when he heard the front door open.
Daddy? Daddy!
From his viewpoint, Bum watched Ji-Hun run out of the laundry room and into the hall. He still couldn't move and his heart pounded as he listened to the exchange between Sangwoo and Ji-Hun.
Help us, Daddy! Mama keeps sleeping. I don't know why. And I'm hungry. We didn't eat
Where is Mama?
In here! Look!
Ji-Hun led his father into the laundry room and pointed at Bum's prone form lying on the floor. He heard Sangwoo's steps as he rushed over, and then only saw Sangwoo's face as he knelt before him. Bum? Bum tried his best to answer Sangwoo, but his tongue was still heavy in his mouth. The best he could manage was a choked gurgle. Sangwoo stared into his clouded eyes for a few moments. Ji-Hun came to his father's side.
Why won't Mama get up?
Sangwoo gathered Bum in his arms. Mama is sick. Don't worry. Daddy'll take care of her, okay?
You'll save Mama like the flaming laser saves people.
Bum felt weightless as Sangwoo lifted him in his arms. Haha, yeah, just like the flaming laser.
Cool! I want to save people like the flaming laser!
Bum stared at the ceiling as they began moving toward the stairs. Eventually he closed his eyes because he felt so dizzy. What is wrong with me? I really hope that Ji-Hun doesn't catch it. He heard Sangwoo ask Ji-Hun what he wanted for dinner as he carried Bum upstairs to the bedroom. The young child helped tuck Bum into bed as he answered Sangwoo's question.
Can we have burgers and fries? I want one with a toy.
Bum opened his eyes once he was in bed. Laying on his back, he stared up at the ceiling and could only listen to the conversation between his husband and child. I can't move. I can't even turn my head. How did I catch something this bad? Of course we can. I'll get the food, but I need you to do a very important job for me, okay? This is a really big job, okay? Do you think you can do it?
I can!
While I'm gone, make sure Mama doesn't leave this room, okay? And if she falls asleep again, I want you to take this mirror and put it under her nose, like this. Bum saw the hand mirror appear under his nose as Sangwoo demonstrated what he meant. If you see white fog like this, then let Mama keep sleeping. If you don't see anything, then call me right away. Do you remember my phone number?
Yes.
What is it?
202-555-0130.
Good. Why didn't you call me earlier?
Mama told me not to. You were busy at work.
I see. Okay. I'll be right back. Don't leave her side, okay?
Okay.
Bum heard Sangwoo leave the house. Ji-Hun crawled over to him, his small face blocking his view of the ceiling.
Mama, don't worry. Daddy's going to save you.
Bum couldn't keep his eyes open any longer. He couldn't help but feel anxious as he fell back into the black abyss. Suddenly he was in the car sitting in the passenger seat with Ji-Hun. He was still a toddler and sleeping soundly in Bum's arms. Everything seemed fuzzy. Is this a dream? When he looked over to the driver's side, he instantly recoiled. It was Sangwoo, but not. He was completely covered in blood. It coated his hair and skin in a thick, deep red layer. He glistened as they passed streetlights, and nearly disappeared altogether when they drove in the darkness. This is definitely a dream. I have to wake up. I have to protect Ji-Hun. How could you do this to me, Bum? After everything we've been through, after everything you said, you still tried to run away from me? I remember this. Sangwoo said this to me after I tried to run away with Ji-Hun when he was 3. The bloody figure spoke just like Sangwoo, but something seemed off. The interior of the car was cast into shadow after passing a streetlight, but once they drove under another one, the bloody figure had morphed into a terrifying monster. Rows of kitchen knives acted as teeth and blood-covered muscles bulged everywhere. Bum screamed and tried to open the door, but he was locked in. What the hell? What is going on? I need to get Ji-Hun out of here. He heard Sangwoo's calm voice echo everywhere in the car. I didn't want to do this, Bum. I never wanted to hurt you. But you gave me no choice, and now suddenly I'm the bad guy. The monster's strong, muscular hand grabbed Bum by the throat and pushed him up against the door. Don't you know that if you run away with Ji-Hun, they won't let you keep him? You better believe if I ever get caught that I will drag you down with me. Have you already forgotten about June? You will rot in jail and our kid will be carted off to an orphanage. Is that what you want? The dark being chuckled. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll make sure you can never run again. Say goodbye to your legs, you heartless bitch. Bum couldn't breathe and tears streamed down his face as the malformed Sangwoo choked him. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I don't want to die. Sangwoo, please, stop! Stop! Bum was jarred awake as Sangwoo whacked his back. Jesus Christ, Lola, what the fuck did you give me? He was choking on his own vomit, for fuck's sake. Hey, Bum, you awake? Bum couldn't respond as Sangwoo stuck his fingers in his mouth and down his throat. He was laying in Sangwoo's lap and facing the floor. There was a small puddle of vomit right below his face. Sangwoo whacked his back again and he coughed up a little more. It dribbled out of his mouth and joined the puddle beneath it. He heard a woman's voice coming from Sangwoo's phone. It was warped as it came over the speakerphone.
Well, how much did you give him? I told you to be careful with that stuff. Anyway, sounds like everything's fine. In the future, unless he's dead, don't call me about stupid shit. See you tonight.
She hung up and the phone beeped a few times as the line went dead. Crazy ass bitch. Okay, Bum. Looks like I gave you too much this morning. Here, drink this. Gave me too much what? Was I choking in my sleep? Bum still couldn't move or talk. Sangwoo held him against his body and tipped his head back as he poured water down his throat. I'll be more aware of the dosage next time. Sorry. Didn't think it'd fuck you up this bad. What did you give me? I only ate rice porridge today. Bum thought back to this morning. Ji-Hun and Sangwoo ate cereal while he had rice pudding. Sangwoo had prepared everyone's bowl. Did he poison my food? Why? Sangwoo sighed and laid Bum back on the bed. This time on his side, he turned away and yelled down the stairs. Ji-Hun, are you done eating yet? He heard him answer from downstairs.
Yes!
Sangwoo wiped up the vomit next to the bed. He stood up and walked towards the stairs. I'll be back later. Get some rest. Ji-Hun and I are gonna have a little fun today. Sorry, babe. Couldn't have you getting in the way of father-son bonding. I'm sure you understand. Bum's heart pounded as he realized what was happening. He wanted to be alone with Ji-Hun. Oh God, what are they going to do? I need to protect him. I need to stop him. I can't move. Why won't my body listen to me? He was a prisoner in his own body. Whatever Sangwoo had given him had effectively rendered his limbs as useless. Frustrated and scared, he felt tears leak out of his eyes. I'm sorry, Ji-Hun. I can't do anything. Mama can't protect you. With that thought, Bum once again lost consciousness. Bum woke to someone roughly shaking his shoulder. From the lack of sunlight peeking through the windows, he knew it was nighttime.
Mama, I'm scared. There's scary noises coming from downstairs.
Ji-Hun? Is he crying? It's too dark to tell. Bum could move his body now, but he felt incredibly weak and a little nauseous. He thought about what Ji-Hun said and just then heard someone yelling downstairs. Sangwoo, why do you do this? Understanding the situation, Bum gathered the frightened child as best he could with his weak arms. His tongue still sat heavy in his mouth, so he just covered Ji-Hun's ears as he tried to hush him. Shh. The screams continued for a few more minutes until they were suddenly cut short. Ji-Hun continued to weep and Bum wiped away his tears as he hummed to him. The whole house was silent for a good amount of time. Eventually Ji-Hun fell asleep, Bum's hands still covering his ears. Just how late is it? Ji-Hun, what did Sangwoo make you do? Bum tried his best to see if Ji-Hun was hurt anywhere, but the darkness and his exhaustion made it nearly impossible to tell. His eyes drooped as he listened for his husband, but the entire house was quiet. Just as he was nodding off to sleep, Bum heard someone climb to the top of the stairs. He sleepily looked over to see Sangwoo's dark silhouette. There you are, Ji-Hun. Daddy was looking for you. You missed the fun part. Bum wrapped his arms around his son as Sangwoo approached them. Please, leave him alone. He's such a mama's boy, isn't he, Bum? Bum could smell the heavy and sharp musk of blood as Sangwoo crouched next to them. He began to untangle Bum's arms from around their son, and Bum tried to hold on tight, but he was too weak. Lifting the sleeping child, Sangwoo pushed Bum back onto the bed with his foot. We'll just have to change that, won't we? Bum tried to call out to Sangwoo, but only got out a few garbled objections. No. He tried to follow Sangwoo as he carried Ji-Hun down the stairs, laboriously dragging his body across the floor. Please, bring him back here. He's just a child. Don't make him like you. Please, please. Bum broke down in tears by the time he made it to the top of the stairs. When he looked down, his son and husband were nowhere in sight. Bum felt like a failure as he sobbed in the darkness. A few weeks later, Bum sat in the TV room with Ji-Hun. They were watching Ji-Hun's favourite show, Super Friends. Each week had a different theme, and usually resolved around teaching children how to be good citizens. For instance, the week before was focused on helping those in need. This week was focused on the importance of taking care of the environment. Ji-Hun sung along with the ending song as the screen showed the characters picking up trash at the sun-kissed grassy park. After that night, Bum knew without a doubt that Ji-Hun had changed. He didn't know how exactly, but the light in his eyes had suddenly dimmed a little, and Bum didn't know what he could do to fix that. He tried asking Ji-Hun what he did with Sangwoo that night, but the only answer he got was a mumbled,
"It's a secret."
That response haunted Bum. He didn't ask for Ji-Hun to elaborate. "I couldn't protect him, no matter how hard I try. I can never protect him. I'm so pathetic." Even Sangwoo had changed after that night, but not for the better. Apparently, he had been demoted at work that day, but for what reason Bum didn't know. Recently, he seemed more and more irritable. Bum received harsh treatment from his husband in many ways. Sangwoo slapped Bum in front of Ji-Hun the other day for not getting him his drink fast enough. They no longer made love. Each time the sex was rough and painful. In just the past few weeks, the amount of bruises he had increased significantly. His recent behaviour worried Bum constantly, to the point that he was on high alert even when Sangwoo wasn't home. What happened to us being in love? Bum didn't even realise that his mind wandered off until Ji-Hun shook his arm.
"Can I, Mama?"
"I'm sorry, Mama wasn't listening. What did you ask?" Ji-Hun pouted.
"Can I go outside?"
The request shocked Bum, but then made him feel horrible as he slowly shook his head.
"Why not?"
"I'm sorry, but you can't. Your daddy wouldn't like that."
"What if we didn't tell Daddy?"
Ji-Hun. Bum held the child's face in his hands. "I know you want to go outside, but we can't. It would make your father very, very upset."
"But Flamey Laser gets to go outside! And all of those other kids on the TV get to go outside! Why can't I?"
Bum searched for a reasonable answer and found none. "You just can't. I'm sorry, sweetie."
"That's not fair!"
Ji-Hun threw the toy truck he had been holding onto the floor and stomped out of the room. Bum sighed and let him go. He bunched up his long skirt in his hands as he fought back tears. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Ji-Hun. There's nothing I can do." In reality, there really wasn't anything Bum could do. Sangwoo had installed new locks on the front door that could only be unlocked with the key on both sides. He made sure to lock both Bum and Ji-Hun inside the house every day he left for work. He had installed the locks after Bum's near-successful attempt to escape a few years ago. "I tried to take you outside before. I really tried, but I'm just not strong enough." Later on that evening, after dinner, Bum was cleaning the bathroom. Sangwoo was in one of his moods again and declared the entire house as filthy as soon as he came home from work, despite Bum cleaning it all day. "This is the second time I scrubbed the toilet today. How can he say that everything is filthy?" Ji-Hun sat in the TV room with his father as Sangwoo watched the basketball game. After his outburst earlier today, Ji-Hun had moped around the house all day and stared out of the window when Bum wasn't looking. He hoped that he stopped asking to go outside soon, for both their sake. Bum just finished scrubbing the toilet when he heard a blood-curdling scream from the TV room. "What? Is that Ji-Hun?" Bum stumbled across the hall into the TV room. "Ji-Hun, what's wrong?" Bum froze as he watched Sangwoo twist Ji-Hun's arm. "I will do worse than this if you ask to go outside again. Do you hear me?" Ji-Hun screamed with tears in his eyes and tried to pull his arm away. Sangwoo twisted it further. "Do you hear me?"
Yes, Dad, it hurts! It hurts!
Sangwoo let him go and pushed him down on the floor. The small child sobbed and seeing Bum, started in his direction with a plea of help screaming in his eyes.
Mama!
"Oh, no you don't." Sangwoo grabbed him by the back of his neck and roughly sat him back on the couch. "Mummy can't save you from everything. You better learn that now. Be quiet and watch the game." The child held his arm and continued to sob as he sat next to his father. Sangwoo glared at Bum. "Why the hell are you in here? Are you done cleaning the bathroom?" No. Then why the fuck are you still standing there? Bum turned away and limped back to the bathroom. He could feel his face flush as tears started coming down. Sitting on the toilet he just cleaned, tears silently slipped down his face. His heart was in pain as he listened to Ji-Hun's sobs coming from the TV room. Shut up, damn it. I'm trying to watch the game. There was a pause in the sobbing and then a few yelps of pain from Ji-Hun. Now, be quiet, or I will hit you again. Bum held his breath as he listened to his son muffle his wails. He felt relief when he could hear the sounds of the TV more than he could hear Ji-Hun's weeping. If he was quiet enough, maybe Sangwoo wouldn't hit him again. I knew this day would come. I knew this would happen. I knew it. Bum held his head in his hands as he cried for the child. And I could do nothing to stop it. Chapter 9. Save us. Help us. Please. Ji-Hun decided that he wouldn't eat today. He sat at the small, beaten-up wooden table on the floor. His mother sat across from him. Upset, he stared down at the food before him.
I hate this little table. I hate eating on the floor. I hate feeling like an animal.
He looked up at his father sitting at the kitchen table looking down on him and his mother.
I hate my father. I hate him the most.
Ji-Hun, please eat. His mother didn't look up from the small bowl she ate out of. Ji-Hun could hear her voice warble as she pleaded with him. He thought about how hard it must be for her to eat with a busted lip. The black eyes she was sporting looked painful too. Ji-Hun knew he didn't look much better. The bruises and cigarette burns that marred his arms and legs might as well have been the colour of his skin. He couldn't remember the last time he didn't have bruises on his body.
He did this to us. I hate him so much. I wish he'd just die.
Ji-Hun, please. His mother shook visibly as she looked in the direction of his father.
I can't eat. The inside of my mouth is still bleeding from when he hit me earlier.
He knew their warden was watching them. He couldn't complain about the pain he was in. He also knew that if he didn't start eating, his father would most likely start hurting him or his mother. Wanting to appease his mother and not enrage his father, he picked up his chopsticks and started eating. He tried not to wince as he slowly chewed his rice and steamed vegetables. His mother let out a sigh of relief and continued eating as well. Ji-Hun. Ji-Hun froze as his father got up from his seat. He felt his stomach drop.
What now? I didn't even do anything.
Yes, Dad.
His father walked to the fridge and pulled out a beer. Your birthday's coming up, isn't it? How old will you be? He kept his head down, tracing the pattern on his rice bowl with his pointer finger.
10.
My birthday already passed. Weeks ago. But it's not like you care.
His father chuckled as he placed the beer bottle on the table and took his seat again. Whoa, double digits, huh? I can remember when you were this tiny. He held his hands a short distance apart and then leaned over to place a hand on his mother's shoulder. You remember that, Bum? He was so little, so full of hope, so bright and cheery. You would come running to me every day I came home from work and hug my legs. You were so cute. Ji-Hun put his chopsticks down.
Here we go again.
His father continued talking. Never would have thought you'd have grown into such a piece of shit.
You raised me. You have no one else to blame for that but yourself.
Sangwoo, don't say that. Ji-Hun is a good boy. He helps out so much around the house. Ji-Hun lifted his gaze to see his mother smiling warmly at him. He began to smile back, until his father moved his hand from his mother's shoulder to her hair. He yanked her head back and sneered down at her. If I said he's a piece of shit, then that's what he is. Shut the hell up with all this good boy bullshit. Look at him. She held in her cries as he jerked her head around. Look at how unkept he looks. Would a good boy look like that? You see the look in his eyes. You can just tell he's up to no good. Ji-Hun knew he was glaring at his father. He knew that he would pay for it, but in that moment he just didn't care. His father released his mother when she didn't respond. He had a dark expression on his face as he once again stood, Ji-Hun in his sights. Hey, shitty brat. His father's voice was low. I don't like the way you're looking at me. Stop looking at me like that. He picked up the beer bottle from the table and threw it at Ji-Hun. It hit him square in the chest, causing him to gasp in pain. The bottle rolled off his body and smashed onto the floor in a messy puddle of cold beer and glass shards. His father was not pleased. God damn it, look at the mess you made.
Ah! That hurt! Ugh! Here it comes!
Ji-Hun held his chest as his father stepped over the broken bottle and pulled him up by the collar of his shirt. You know what, Bum? I've been thinking. Maybe getting this worthless shithead was a mistake. I can take him down to the basement right now and be done with it. Have it just be you and me again. Or if it bothers you that much, we can just get another one and start over. Ji-Hun's toes barely touched the floor as he held onto his father's forearm for balance.
I wish we could string you up in the basement. It should be just me and Mama. You're the one that's the problem. You crazy no good father. I hate you!
In that moment, Ji-Hun wished that his father could read his mind. He wished that he knew how much he despised him. And even though pain radiated throughout his chest, he made sure to match his father's glare. Dark eyes stared each other down as his mother tried to intervene. No, Sangwoo, please. He's just a child. Don't hurt him. Please, let him go. He didn't mean to look at you like that. Ji-Hun, apologize to your father. Neither of them moved a muscle and continued to glare at each other. Tears in her eyes, Ji-Hun's mother came to their side and rubbed at Sangwoo's arms. Come on, please. Let him go. He doesn't know any better. He's just a child. He'll apologize right now. Go ahead and say you're sorry, Ji-Hun.
For what? I didn't do anything!
Ji-Hun, please, apologize to your father.
I'm sorry, Dad. You should be saying this to me! I'm only doing this because Mama asked me to!
A nervous smile plastered on her face. His mother turned to his father. See? He said he's sorry. Please, let him go. His father did as requested and Ji-Hun slipped and fell onto the floor, landing on wet glass shards. He cried out in pain as he felt a few pieces cut into his thigh. When he looked up, he could see his father looking at his mother. His mother was looking down at her clasped hands. But Ji-Hun could tell that she was bracing herself for an attack. His father raised a hand and softly brushed his mother's cheek. She flinched and closed her eyes. His voice was thick and gravelly as he caressed her face. Since when did you start loving him more than you loved me? His mother started to shake, but his father turned away from her with a sigh and rubbed at the back of his head. You know what? Don't even bother answering that. Ji-Hun, we've got work to do tonight. You know what you need to do. He stomped out of the kitchen and down the hall. A few moments later, the television could be heard blaring in the TV room. His mother let out a sigh of relief and then gingerly approached him. Are you hurt, sweetie?
I'm always hurt!
He shook his head no, and started to pull himself off the floor. Every move he made, he could feel the shards that cut into his leg. By the time he stood up, his mother had hobbled across the kitchen to get the familiar first aid kit. Ji-Hun limped around the mess on the floor as he went to her. You're bleeding. Let's get you cleaned up. Ji-Hun shimmied out of his cotton shorts. Most of the glass that was stabbing him peeled off with his bottoms, but he could still feel a few pieces lodged in his skin. Standing in his underwear and tank top, he saw that one shard had cut him pretty deep. A few trails of blood leaked down his outer thigh. His mother sighed. Looks like we're out of hydrogen peroxide.
It's okay. I can handle the alcohol.
His mother smiled and caressed his face. You are so brave, Ji-Hun. The harsh antiseptic stung like crazy, but Ji-Hun didn't complain. His mother tried to be as gentle as possible as she tweezed out the smaller shards. They were both used to this, so he was bandaged up in almost no time. He shook out his shorts over the trash can and only pulled them back on when he was sure there were no glass pieces hiding in the fibers. His mother had started to clean up the broken beer bottle when he was fully dressed again.
Here, Mama, let me help.
He grabbed the broom and dustpan in the corner and began to sweep up the glass, mindful of where he put his bare feet. His mother sat back and eyed him. I know it can be hard, but please don't rile up your father so much. You can't glare at him like that and think he won't hurt you.
Someone has to stand up to the bullies. Someone has to do something. Because no one else will. Why can't you see that, Mama? Why don't you fight him? I couldn't help it. I was angry because when he hit me earlier today, I got a cut in my mouth.
What? Let me see. Ji-Hun opened his mouth for his mother, and seeing the bloody state that it was in, she sighed. There's not much I can do about that. I'll get you some salt water to gargle. That may help. Is that why you didn't want to eat? He nodded.
Earlier wasn't my fault either. He said he hit me just because he felt like it.
She sighed again and pressed at her own bruised eye. I know it's not your fault. Ji-Hun thought she looked tired. He watched her lift her thin body from the floor and balance on the table edge. She slowly limped to the sink and began to fill the glass with water. "I know you didn't start it, but I hate that you encourage him. Don't you remember what I've told you before? Just don't make him angry. Please. I hate to think of what he could do to you. Do you want to have your legs end up like mine?" Ji-Hun scanned the floor for more glass, not finding any. He got up to throw away what he had collected in the dustpan.
I know you're scared of him, but nothing will change if we don't try. You need at least to try, Mama. No, I'm sorry, Mama. I won't make him angry again.
His mother sighed and poured table salt into the glass of water. He knew she didn't believe him. He sure didn't. "Someone help us! Save us, help, please!"
Don't worry, I, Flaming Laser Man, will help you.
Ji-Hun was 7 years old when he realized that no one would save him. He would cry and beg and scream, but no one would come. No one would swoop in and save the day. He would watch his favorite superhero save others in danger from a moving car, an approaching train, a wild animal, all terrifying situations. But he wished that he could switch places with those people.
Someone tie me to the train tracks. Let me walk in the front of a moving car. Have an escaped lion try to hit me. Please.
He would do anything to be in those predicaments. He believed that if he was, then someone would come. Someone would save him. He wanted somebody, anybody, to swoop in and take him away. If that happened, he would cheer and tell his saviour thank you. He would tell them that he would never forget them, and that he owed them his life. He practiced saying the words. He wanted to make sure that whoever helped him knew he was grateful. He waited a long time, praying for someone to come.
Remember, kids, anyone can be a hero, no matter who they are, no matter what their age. Anyone, even you.
But no one came.
Everyone should stand up for what is right.
Ji-Hun was 7 years old when he realized that no one would save him.
It's better to fight than to be ruled by might.
So he decided to save himself. Ji-Hun woke up in the middle of his downstairs bedroom. He was sitting cross-legged on the floor in only his underwear. It was dark. He could tell that his parents had already gone to bed. All the lights were off and the house was quiet. He rubbed at his face.
Was I asleep? But I was sitting up. What was I doing? Oh, that's right. I helped Dad earlier, didn't I?
Ji-Hun started to feel a headache come on as he tried to remember what he did when he and his father would work. But no matter what, he could never remember. As he scratched his head, he realized that there was something caked underneath his fingernails.
What is this? Is it dirt? It's too dark to tell. Actually, I just feel really gross all over. I should take a shower.
He headed to the bathroom and flicked on the light. When he stood in the mirror, his reflection frightened him.
What? Is this?
He quickly came to the realization that his hands, chest and legs weren't covered in dirt.
Blood. This is blood.
He checked himself for new injuries, but he knew that he wouldn't find any.
This is just like that one time. But there's a lot more now compared to then. Whose blood is this?
His mind immediately supplied him with the idea that it may be his parents, but his gut automatically rejected it.
Why am I so sure that's not Mama's or Dad's blood? Whose else could it be?
Bothered by his gut reaction, he turned away from his reflection. He tried not to think about the strange occurrence as he washed up in the shower and ignored the pinkish water going down the drain. When he was done, he returned to his room in a clean towel and headed straight for the closet. He paused before opening the door.
Something just doesn't feel right about this.
Breathing deeply, he braced himself.
Be brave. The flaming laser won't be afraid of a door.
He quickly slid it open and let out a sigh. A pile of his folded clothes greeted him.
See? There's nothing here.
He grabbed his pajamas and closed the door. Once dressed, he let out a big yawn.
Man, I'm so tired.
Exhausted, he flopped onto the thin bed and fell asleep almost immediately. Ji-Hun stared at the knife in his hand. It shone brightly in the basement's limited light. His father's larger hand covered his as he guided him to a covered body lying on the basement floor. "Remember why we do this, Ji-Hun." They knelt next to the body. His father lifted the blanket to expose the flat chest of the person on the floor, but their face remained covered. "Do you remember what I told you? Ji-Hun didn't respond as his father moved his hand so the tip of the knife rested above the person's heart. You know it, don't you? Answer me, son. His father lifted his hand from his and moved away. Ji-Hun started to add pressure to the knife. It broke the person's skin and a bead of blood rose to the surface. Ji-Hun's voice sounded foreign to him, like he was hearing it through a video recording.
We do this because we are strong, and they are weak.
He couldn't see his father, but he could hear him clearly. Yes. What else?
The strong have the right to cleanse the world of those beneath them.
Exactly. It's just as nature intended. Ji-Hun felt a hand on his shoulder. Go ahead, son. Ji-Hun felt like he was not in control of his body. He was a passive onlooker as the knife cut deep into the person's chest. He watched as the blade carved deep into the torso, careful to cut around the rib bones. The sound of flesh tearing and muscle ripping filled his mind.
What am I doing? Why am I doing this?
His hands covered in blood. He dropped the slippery knife and reached into the body for his prize. Strangely, the heart he held in his hands was still beating. His father suddenly appeared, crouching on the other side of the body. Proud, Ji-Hun offered the fruits of his labour to his father to inspect. He smiled at Ji-Hun. Good job, son. Look at that. It's still in one piece. Way better than last time. Hearing praise from his father made Ji-Hun feel good. I'm sure Lola will be pleased. We'll wrap it up to be mailed later. But first, check out the face of the disgusting trash that this heart belongs to. His father pulled the sheets away from the face of the prawn form.
Mama?
His vision swam as he looked down at his mother. Her mouth was slightly ajar and her eyes were vacant. He started screaming. In between his screams, he could hear his father's laughter. I'm so happy to be able to bond with you like this, Ji-Hun. You know, my father never spent this much time with me. Well, that's hardly a good comparison. I'm a much better person than he ever was. The thumping sound of the beating heart in his hands grew louder and louder in his ears. The sound mingled with his father's laughter and his own screams. The entire room tilted and began to swirl like water going down a drain. The laughter, screaming, and heartbeats swirled in his ears. The sounds began to distort and mesh, until he could only hear his father's strong and clear voice. I love you, son. Ji-Hun woke up with a shout.
What type of dream was that?
His eyes immediately moved towards the closed closet door.
I can't sleep in here. Not so close to the basement.
He threw off the blanket and moved quietly in the dark house towards the stairs.
Maybe Mama will let me sleep with her.
If he was careful, sometimes he could slip into bed with his mother for a little while and then head back downstairs before his father would wake. He had only been caught once, and his father beat him nearly within an inch of his life. He hadn't slipped into bed with her again ever since, but this time he was willing to take the chance. Only his mother would be able to soothe him after the night he just had. He quietly tiptoed up the stairs, pausing each time the wooden steps would groan and creak under his weight. As he neared the top of the stairs, he started to hear strange noises coming from his parents' room. Yeah. Oh, Sangwoo.
Mama? Is that hurting her?
He made it to the top of the stairs and peeked into the room. He was confused by what he saw. In the dark, he could make out that his parents were not wearing any clothes. His father was moving hunched over his mother and they were both on their knees. From where he was looking, he could see something long bobbing up and down in between his mother's legs. Unsure of what was happening, Ji-Hun tried to make sense of what he was seeing.
Is Mom in pain? She looks uncomfortable under him. Is that hurting her? But she's saying yes, so he's not hurting her. What is he been doing on top of her? What is that long thing hanging in between her legs?
His father grunted and shifted over his mother's body. He started moving on top of her faster and his mother let out a strangled wail.
I can see Dad's butt. Gross. What are they doing?
Feeling uncomfortable, he decided to go back downstairs. With his father being awake, he felt a little upset that he wouldn't be able to sleep with his mother that night. Still unwilling to sleep in his room, he went into the TV room and flopped on the couch.
Was that really hurting her? He has never hurt me like that. If he was, then I'm sorry, Mama. I will help you get away from him soon. I know it.
One thought still bothered him. He furrowed his brows as he spread his legs and looked down at his crotch.
Why does Mama have a long hanging piece, but I don't? Maybe it hasn't grown out yet.
He rolled onto his side and started to drift off to sleep.
I'll just ask Mama tomorrow.
Ji-Hun, stop asking these questions. Ji-Hun had never seen his mother's face so red. They were folding the laundry in the TV room when he decided to start asking her questions burning in his mind.
Why? Is it something bad?
Well, no, but for you, yes.
That's not fair. Why won't you tell me?
You're too young. I promise I'll explain when you're older.
So you mean never? You always say that, and then we never talk about it again.
That's not true. It just isn't something you need to know right now. And don't ask your father, okay? He pouted and haphazardly folded one of the tank tops.
Okay, I won't.
I hope you don't, sweetie. I don't even know how he would respond if you did. They fell into silence as they watched TV. It was Ji-Hun's favourite part of the day, when his father went to work. Although they spent all their time together doing chores, he loved just being with his mother. He wished that it was like that all the time.
Mama? I've been thinking. We can both run away together, if we try.
She stopped folding the shirt in her hands. Ji-Hun continued.
We can get away from Dad and this awful house. It could just be us, and we won't be hurt like we are now. We can leave. We can do it, if we work together.
Ji-Hun. His heart soared as he anticipated her next words. Stop with this silly talk. Disappointment quickly coated his voice.
But we can. Dad just leave his keys lying around. You can drive us away. It won't be hard if we wait for the right time.
We can't.
We can. Why do you want to try, Mama? You won't stay here forever?
We can't. I tried before more than once.
What? You did? When?
A long time ago. Before you were even born. And even after you were born.
No way. How long have you been here, Mama? But it's different this time. I can help you. We can do this together.
His mother bunched the shirt in her hands. Ji-Hun, promise me that you aren't going to try something. Promise me that you'll believe me when I say that we can't. I know it's hard, sweetie. I know. But it would be even worse if you got hurt. Or if your father took you away from me. You see this scar above my neck? You see my legs? This is what he can do. He can do the same things to you. I don't ever want to see that. So stop. Listen to your mother. Do as I say. And stop this silly thinking, okay? His mother reached out and grabbed his arm. Okay? Promise me, Ji-Hun. He looked down at his hands.
Promise, Mama. I won't try to do something. I will do something.
That's it. Your ass is going straight to the basement. Keep glaring at me with your beady little eyes. You'll be glaring at nothing in the fucking dark. His father pulled him off the floor and manhandled him out of the kitchen. He still had food in his mouth as he tried to get out of his father's grasp.
Let me go! Let me go!
Ji-Hun kicked and buckled as hard as he could.
I won't go into the basement that easily. I didn't even do anything wrong.
His father almost lost his grip on his arm, but he grabbed Ji-Hun before he could run off. No, you don't. It's about time you learn about consequences for your actions. Your mother had to do it. Now it's your turn. Ji-Hun remembered that the last year his father had locked her in the basement for a week because she scratched the car. He had to steal and sneak food to her so she wouldn't starve.
Fine. If Mama can do it, so can I.
He could hear his mother trailing after them with her cane. Sangwoo, no! Please let him go! He's sorry, he's just... No. I've tried, Bum. I really have. But I refuse to let this little bastard act like he's better than me in my own house. Ji-Hun fought his father's hold as best he could, but he was not strong enough to break free. That's quite a fucking enough, you little shit. Ji-Hun saw stars as his father punched the back of his head in the middle of his struggle. He went limp in his arms and his vision swam. Just as the dark haziness began to disappear from his eyes, his breath left him in a whoosh when his father threw him down on the bedroom floor. He worked on catching his breath as he heard the closet door slam open. He looked over to see his father unlocking the basement door. His mother stared at him from the entrance of his room with a look of absolute horror. When his father opened the basement door, she rushed forward on her cane.
Sangwoo, you will not hurt him.
Shut the hell up, Bum. His father stepped over and dragged him to the closet by the back of his shirt. His mother stood by the basement door pleading with his father to let him go.
Please stop this, he's your son, he's our little boy.
All children need discipline. This little fucker has had it coming for the longest and he knew it. Now get the hell out of my way.
I won't let you lock him down there.
Oh, really? Ji-Hun flopped back on the floor as his father released him to deliver a solid punch to his mother's stomach. She doubled over and spat on the floor. Next time, just do as I say. Ji-Hun reached out for his mother as his father threw him headfirst down the entrance to the basement. He tumbled down the stairs, but caught himself on the bottom step. He looked up in time to see the basement hatch door slammed shut.
I hope Mommy's okay.
He winced in pain when he pushed his body off the stairs.
Everything hurts.
The long fall made him feel sore all over. He didn't think anything was broken, though he couldn't be too sure. He sat on the bottom stair and focused on his ragged breath.
He can't keep me down here forever. Sooner or later, I'll be back up there. And then, Mom and I can run away.
After some time, Ji-Hun started to climb the stairs back to the entrance he was thrown down from. He placed a hand on the door and checked to see if it was locked. It was. He could hear his mother crying on the other side, but he wasn't sure if she was still in his room or somewhere else in the house. Ji-Hun folded himself on the top stair. His head pounded where his dad had hit him.
Don't worry, Mama. I'll get us out of here. I'll save you.
He felt along the back of his head. He winced when he found a growing knot. He brought his hand to his face and even in the dark could tell that there was blood on it. He balled his hand into a fist and stared into the yawning blackness of the basement.
No matter what!
A few months later, irritable and tired, Yang Seungbae volunteered to do the nightly patrol rather than listen to his annoying co-workers whining. After almost 20 years on the force, the job had sapped his energy and belief in the justice system. Nearly a decade ago, through hard work and determination, he regained his detective status. But all his effort was for nothing. He had been relegated again after trying to crack down on a sex trafficking ring run by the current leader of Suit Group, an elderly woman who goes by the name Lola. Seungbae studied the organization and her ruthless climb to the top of Suit Group for years. Her final victim in her quest for power was her husband, the original founder of the Suit Group. Of course, every single crime she was accused of could never be proven. The woman was sharp and cunning, despite her age, but even the strongest have weaknesses in their armor. With the help of an insider, he finally got a good lead. He amassed enough footmen to do a proper takedown, but when they arrived at the site, every single girl was gone. There was not one shred of evidence to be found and Seungbae was once again demoted. To add insult to injury, he was reassigned back to the district he had worked so hard to climb out of.
Back to square one. I can't catch a break. Maybe I should just retire early.
He hadn't been in the area for years, but remembered that the district had a few particularly bad spots. He headed in the direction of an area he patrolled frequently in the past. It was the middle of winter and the snow was coming down hard and fast. Even with the bad weather, Seungbae could tell that the neighborhood did not improve in his absence.
Looks like things got even worse while I was away. Ugh, this snow's horrible to drive through. It's so hard to see anything, especially since it's nighttime.
As he began turning down another street, his headlights illuminated a small figure in the snow. Startled, Seungbae hit the brakes.
Is that a child?
He put the car in park and stepped out onto the road.
Hello, I'm a police officer. Do you need help?
The child didn't seem to hear him and continued to shuffle away from him through the snow.
Short hair, looks like a little boy. This wind's pretty strong. Maybe he can't hear me. But doesn't he see the headlights?
He decided to approach him. As he moved closer, he noticed more details.
He's only wearing a tank top and sleeping shorts. No shoes. What type of pattern is that on his clothes? The kid's fashion is weird.
A strong gust of wind blew right through his coat, making him shiver.
It's gotta be below freezing. What is he doing out here? Are you lost? Little boy.
As he came closer, he was able to hear the little boy mumbling something. He also noticed that his clothing did not have a unique pattern. He was covered in blood.
What the hell? Hey, are you hurt? Where do you live? Where are your parents?
He rushed to the child and grabbed him by the shoulders, but he didn't respond. The child wasn't even shivering despite the freezing weather. Seungbae listened as he repeated something over and over.
Sorry, Mama, it was an accident. Sorry, an accident. Mama, accident.
Accident? He must be in shock. He might be hurt. I need to get him to a hospital immediately.
He picked the child up and carried him to the cruiser, grabbing a few blankets from the trunk. He wrapped the child up and put him in the back seat so he couldn't get out. Seungbae turned the heater on full blast and radioed in his find.
This is 71, requesting an ambulance to Blueberry Avenue off Luckford Drive. One minor appears to be involved in an accident. Out.
He returned to the spot where he found the child.
Something pretty bad must have happened. Someone else might need help.
With resolve, he followed the blood trail and small footprints left in the snow by the little boy back to the O family residence. Chapter 10. Does the cycle continue? 10 years later.
Thank you for tuning in to JRK Radio. Today we have an interesting guest joining us, Miss Yang Ji-Yu, author of recent bestseller My Father's Prisoner. Welcome, Miss Yang.
Thank you for having me.
So, I read your book and I must say that what you went through must have been really tough. It was almost too horrible to seem true.
Well, you know what they say. Fact is stranger than fiction.
Strange indeed. Tell me, you do know that men can't be mothers, right?
Well, biologically, no.
Yet you still call the man Yoon Bum, who has been held against his will according to your book, Mama. Don't you think that's a little weird?
Well, I now understand how others can see it as strange. But, that's how I saw him for the time I was there.
And you also believe that he was completely innocent from any of the crimes committed by your biological father, Sangwoo, despite having an extensive criminal record?
He wasn't there because he wanted to be. And it was hardly a criminal record. Mom, Yoon Bum was just... He was just a little sick.
I see. What's it like having a serial killer for a father?
I don't know, it's...
Do you like your new name? Ji-Hun is very different from Yang Ji-Hu. Would you rather be called by your former name?
No. Yang Ji-Hu is fine.
So, you wouldn't mind being called by a boy's name? Do you still consider yourself a male?
No, I don't.
What everyone really wants to know is what your love life is like. Do you find it hard to date men? Or do you like women since you grew up thinking you were a boy?
I don't...
Ah, shoot. That's all we have time for today, folks. Please tune in tomorrow for an exclusive interview with the leading man from the newest, hottest drama. Thank you so much for joining us today, Miss Yang.
Sure. It was my pleasure. It was a disaster.
Her manager sighed. I'm sorry, Ji-Yu. I had no idea she would change all the pre-approved questions. Don't worry, I won't buck her again.
Ji-Yu sat in the passenger seat as her manager drove them back to the agency office. She crossed her arms over her chest.
Do I have to keep doing these interviews? All they do is ask awful questions.
I know, but we need to get more publicity. The longer we can book in your book as a bestseller, the longer you'll have to rake in some good profits. Ji-Yu studied her shoes as she expressed her concerns.
I didn't think it would blow up like this. This was supposed to be a way to come to terms with what happened. Not entertainment for people to gawk at. This isn't a story I made up. This is my real life.
Her manager sighed again. I know. I'm really sorry, Ji-Yu. But I know that things will be better next interview. They're recording it, so you can stop anytime you want, and if we don't like the questions they're going, we can always leave. It was Ji-Hun's turn to sigh.
Fine. I'm just so over this now.
I know. I hate that this happened. They stopped in front of the building the management agency was housed. Her manager threw the car in park and turned to Ji-Yu. Look, go home and get some rest. You have about a week to recharge before the next interview, so take that time to relax, okay?
I couldn't relax to save my life.
On the subway home, Ji-Yu thought about all the ways her childhood had effectively made her incompatible with society. The talk show she was just featured on was enough proof of that.
I want to be normal, but I just don't think it's possible for me. From the moment I left that house until now, I've always been an outsider.
After she had been discovered, she bounced around quite a bit from hospitals to government buildings. She remembered living in an all-white room with one window for a very long time. Tall men in suits would come to her every day and ask her questions about her mum and dad. She just remembered being so confused at how they referred to her as a little girl, and would correct her every time she called Yoon Bum Mama. She cried a lot. She still cries a lot. Eventually, the police figured out that she must have been a missing child, finding no records of her with the name and date of birth she provided. They decided to run her DNA in the system. She was a close match to a 16-year-old girl who had gone missing nearly 25 years ago. Her name was Jung Hannah, and the Jung family fought for Ji-Yu's custody as soon as they found out that their missing daughter was her biological mother. However, she didn't last long there. Her grandparents grew tired of her hearing her cry for Yoon Bum. She could still hear the horrible screech of her grandmother's shrill voice. "Your mother is not that deranged man! Stop calling for him! You are a disgrace to my daughter's memory!" She was promptly thrown out on the street. Luckily, while she was moping on a doorstep in the dying daylight, Seungbae drove by. He checked in on her on a weekly basis after he found her, but he was shocked to see her sitting outside of the welcoming home her grandparents had provided her. Ji-Yu rubbed at her eyes.
He was so angry. But I was glad he came for me. Everything changed after that. I still can't believe that he adopted me.
Things were awkward at first, but Seungbae never pushed her. He let her be. He would correct her about referring to Yoon Bum as Mama, but never made her feel like something was wrong with her because of it. She adored him for that. But she always felt guilty for putting him through so much. The constant nightmares, panic attacks, and visits to the therapist would be enough to scare away anyone. He never said that he was bothered by it, and was always quick to reassure her that he wasn't. She appreciated him so much, but she was worried that he felt everything he'd done for her was never enough because her oddities never went away. Even though he provided a stable home and was supportive in everything she did, her problems persisted through adolescence to even now. She frowned deeply as she thought back to the questions asked at the talk show. The question on her love life made her stomach sour, since she had no idea how to interact with anyone, let alone anyone her age. She could not see herself having any type of love life soon. She also knew that she was just as confused about her gender and sexuality as everyone else was. Even though she was used to being called Ji-Yu, she always responded when she heard someone call out Ji-Hun. When Seungbae had changed her name after the adoption, he turned to her with a gentle smile and said,
Ji-Yu sounds great for a smart little girl like you.
When he asked what she thought, she just told him that she liked it. But even now, she still believed that her real name was Ji-Hun. When she became an adult, she thought about changing it back, but didn't because she feared that it might hurt Seungbae's feelings. She decided that she would just call herself Ji-Hun and keep it a secret, just like how she never told anyone about her preferred gender. Occasionally, she thought about herself as a boy. She now knew that physically she wasn't, but it was still hard for her to think of herself in female terms, and deep down, wished that everyone just let her grow up as the little boy her mother had raised. The same mother that she wished could have watched her grow into adulthood. She sighed and hugged her retro laser messenger bag close as the childhood memories flooded her with emotion.
I still miss her. Every day. Mama, I'm so sorry.
Ji-Yu was a block away from her apartment building when she noticed a buff man in a dark suit standing next to a sleek black car parked in the street.
He just looked like trouble. Just walk fast.
She picked up the pace and started to walk by him on the narrow sidewalk, but he blocked her path. Yang Ji-Yu! His gruff voice made goosebumps raise on her skin. Alarms rang in her head as she wondered how this complete stranger knew her name.
How does he know who I am? Does he want to hurt me? What does he want? Why did I throw away the mace Seungbae gave me?
She was complete turmoil on the inside, but as responsive as a rock on the outside. Miss, are you Yang Ji-Yu? She said nothing.
That's her. I'd recognize those eyebrows anywhere.
Ji-Yu looked in the direction the high-pitched gravelly voice came from. A regal-looking elderly woman peeked her head out of the black window of the shiny car. Her white hair sat in an elaborate bun held with pins made of fine sparkling jewels. The one wrinkled hand she had resting on the windowsill displayed shining rings sitting on each finger. Her dark marble-like eyes looked Ji-Yu up and down. When their eyes met, she smirked at her.
I'll be damned, you look so much like him.
Who is this woman? Look like who?
Suga!
Ji-Yu jumped at the woman's shout.
It's Kay, ma'am. Suga is no longer with us.
Oh shit, I forgot. Whatever, get the thing out the back.
The big man opened the trunk of the car and pulled out a long rectangular gift box. It was wrapped in shining gold paper with a paisley pattern. Kay approached Ji-Yu with the gift and held it out to her.
Here, a gift from my lady.
He pushed it into her hands when she didn't move to take it. It was light for its long shape. Ji-Yu felt out of touch with reality as she looked down at the pretty wrapping paper.
A gift? What the hell is going on? Am I seeing things?
Listen, kid, I read your book.
The old woman pulled out a cigarette and stuck it in her mouth.
Suga, light.
Kay didn't correct her this time, but quickly lit the cigarette dangling from her lips. She took in a large puff and blew out a cloud of smoke through her nose.
You've got some talent, kid, but I was kinda sad to see that you left a few parts out, and was hoping to at least make a few appearances, or that you would at least mention the work you did for me. What's with that look? You don't remember me?
She cackled and coughed in between laughs.
Well, kids have shit memory anyway, but I doubt you could forget that.
A bony finger pointed at the gift in Ji-Yu's hands. Ji-Yu looked down at the golden box in her hands.
What is it?
If you opened it, you'd find it, dumbass.
The old woman seemed to dare her with her eyes to open the pretty lid.
A bomb couldn't be this long, could it? What if it's a deadly snake?
Jesus, I'm gonna be dead by the time you open it. Suga, help her out.
Kay stepped forward and lifted the lid. Immediately, Ji-Yu felt tears spring to her eyes when she saw the smooth carved wooden cane lying on the bed of golden tissue paper.
This is Mama's. How did you? Why are you giving me this?
The wrinkles on the old woman's face smoothed as she closed her eyes.
Look at me. I'm old as fuck. Not sure how much longer I got, but it sure as hell ain't much. I'm just trying to cover my bases. If I do enough good deeds before I keel over, maybe, just maybe, I'll get to see the pearly gates.
She opened her eyes and looked at Ji-Yu with an amused expression, but then broke out into laughter that ended in a coughing fit. She was finally able to talk after clearing her throat a few times.
Shit, who am I kidding? My ass is going to burn in hell. I say hi to your father when I get there.
My father?
Ji-Yu felt the hairs on the back of her neck stand as a memory played in her head. She was sitting on a concrete floor, staring down at a bloody knife in her hand while someone spoke behind her.
Oh, look at that, how useful. Still sloppy though. Hey Sangwoo, baby, if you decide to make a little killer army, I'll fund it. No one would see that coming, huh? We take over Seoul in a heartbeat. It's worth burning in hell for eternity, right?
Ji-Yu shook her head and the image dispersed. She could feel a headache building around her temples.
What was that? Did I meet her before? It seems like she knew Dad.
Speaking of your father, he was one hell of a man. His heart was black as my lungs. Such a shame that happened to him. A total waste. He had so much potential.
Every word dripped with venom. She leveled a sharp glare at Ji-Hun after she finished speaking. Ji-Hun took a step back.
Why she's looking at me like that?
The woman turned away from her. She extinguished the cigarette on the side of the car, damaging the glossy paint job.
Suga, get me the hell out of here. Seeing this girl's face makes me depressed as fuck. I did my good deed for the day. Let's see how many more hours of life it got me.
Without another word, the tinted black window rolled up and took the elderly woman out of sight. The big man quickly climbed into the driver's seat and drove away. Ji-Yu stood on the sidewalk, frozen with shock. The opened gift box was still in her hands.
Did that really just happen?
She looked down at the familiar wooden cane.
Where did she get this?
Warm memories built up in her chest as she looked at the area where it was worn down or little nicks and dents. She cried as she hugged the box to her chest.
Does it matter?
Ji-Yu burst into her bedroom with the gift box. She let her messenger bag fall on the floor as she approached the wardrobe in the corner of her room. She set the gift box down and then opened both doors to reveal the little shrine she had made for her mother. Whenever she felt upset, or just wanted to feel comforted, she would sit before the wardrobe with her mother looking down at her from the wooden picture frames.
Mama, look! It's your cane!
Ji-Yu pushed the pictures back to make room for the cane. It just fit inside the wardrobe. She sat on her knees as she looked at the photos and the ceramic vase that sat behind them.
Don't ask me how I got it, but I'm glad that I found it. I was always worried that you will need it up in heaven.
Ji-Yu smiled at the thought of how happy her mother must be at getting reunited with the cane.
I miss you. All the time. But I'm alright now. I hope you don't worry about me. I'm safe now that I found the real-life flaming laser. Seungbae has been so good to me. I just wish...
She tried to blink the tears away, but failed.
I wish I could have saved you too. I'm so sorry. I can't wait for the day I can see you again. Please, look after me until then. See you later, Mama.
She wiped her eyes and softly closed the wardrobe doors. Feeling lighter, she decided that the day was not a complete failure. Even with that horrible radio show earlier, she was snapped out of her thoughts by her phone's ringtone. She rushed over to her bag and pulled it out. The name displayed on the screen made her smile. My hero. She quickly answered.
Hi, Seungbae. What's up?
5 years after Seungbae found Ji-Hun. Seungbae let his tears fall down his face. He had covered his mouth with his hands to muffle his sobs.
How is it that I'm still able to cry? She had a full life. She's no longer suffering. Get yourself together. Be a man.
He wiped at his eyes and walked to the sink. He had locked himself in the downstairs bathroom of his childhood home to cry. On the other side of the door was a room full of friends and family here to celebrate his mother's life. She passed away peacefully a few days ago in her sleep, right down the hall from the bathroom he was weeping in.
I've been in here too long. I should get back out there. You're her only child. They'll notice your absence. I need to get back to Ji-Hun. She might be uncomfortable on her own.
He splashed his face with cold water. After he dried his face with a hand towel, he looked in the mirror. He frowned at his pink and puffy eyes.
It's just one more day. You're almost done.
He let out a long sigh. After he straightened his black suit and put on his glasses, he squared his shoulders and left the restroom. Seungbae, there you are! His co-worker and a new patrol partner, young Suri, approached him.
Suri. Thanks for coming.
Of course, anything you need and I'm here. His simple words moved him. The warm comfort in knowing that he had others supporting him made him emotional. He felt his throat constrict and his eyes water. He nodded and cleared his throat in lieu of a response. Suri noted his silence. I know this is going to be a dumb question, but are you okay? He cleared his throat again, but nodded.
Yeah, I'm fine.
He still looked concerned, but decided not to press him further. Your uncle was asking after you. I was also looking for the restroom. He quickly moved away from the bathroom door.
Oh, thanks for telling me. The bathroom's right here. I'll be on my way then.
He nodded and Seungbae walked off to join the small crowd of people milling around his mother's family room. It felt strange to walk through his mother's home and not see her shuffling from room to room. He couldn't believe she was gone. Seungbae, come here! I need to talk to you! He whipped around to see his uncle carefully walking towards him. His uncle was a gruff man, his voice thick from smoking and his body hunched over from bad posture and unhealthy eating. He always looked like he had one foot in the grave. His mother had always worried over him, saying she didn't want to bury the little brother she had changed diapers for as a babe. Seeing his mother's little brother alive and well sent a pang through his heart. He couldn't tell if it was relief or jealousy.
Yes, uncle? What's wrong?
His uncle waved his free hand close to his face. The other hand leaned on his metal cane. Seungbae leaned down for his uncle to speak directly into his ear. Listen here, it's a hard time for you right now. You had to work, and as the only son you had to pull all this together. Both your father and Hiei would be proud. You've done a good job, but you should take a break.
Can everyone tell that I'm falling apart at the seams? I thank you, Uncle. I'm trying to take it easy, but thank you for your concern.
His uncle cut him off with a wave of his hand. I've been talking with your mother's friend. You remember me, Ji-Hun? She said she's willing to take that girl off your hands while you get yourself together. It'll be one less thing to worry about.
Excuse me? You mean Ji-Hun?
Yes, we all know how much you enjoy helping those in need. But you don't need a charity case that's all screwed up in the head to wear you down when you're already at a low point.
Wow, is that what everyone thinks? Is that how they all see Ji-Hun? My god, I shouldn't have left her alone. Thanks for the concern, Uncle, but I will respectfully decline that offer.
But you should think about it.
There's nothing to think about. I won't reconsider my decision either. Ji-Hun is not a charity case I took pity on. She's my family, just as she was my mother's. If you can't see that, then I'll ask that you never talk to me or my daughter again.
Angry, Seungbae walked through the crowd of people, eyes scanning for his adopted teen.
I can't believe he had the nerve to say that to my face. I know she has issues, but that doesn't make her a burden.
He spotted her sitting alone on a chair in the corner of the room.
Ji-Hun, is everything okay?
She'd been looking down at her hands when he approached her. She hardly reacted when he called her name. She looked up at him slowly, the dark bags under her eyes standing out on her pale face.
Oh, Seungbae, I'm fine. Is something wrong?
Thank God. Looks like no one bothered her. Oh no, just checking on you. I'm sorry this is taking so long. We'll be going home in just a few more hours.
It's okay, I can wait.
Thank you for understanding. How can they think such awful things of Ji-Hun? She's such a good girl.
His mother's neighbour touched his arm and offered his condolences, taking his attention away from Ji-Hun. He was pulled into conversations around the room until it was time to leave. The whole time he kept an eye on Ji-Yu, ready to shoo away anyone who approached her. No one bothered the young girl in the black dress. She didn't move from her seat for the rest of the night. Seungbae was exhausted. Everyone finally left his mother's house around 8 p.m, but he still had a half-hour drive to the flat he shared with Ji-Yu. His mind wandered as he thought about work, bills and groceries. The car was quiet as he merged onto the highway.
Seungbae?
Yes, Ji-Yu?
She hadn't spoken a word after he had checked on her earlier.
She's so quiet. Maybe she's tired. She does have school in the morning.
When people die, do they all get the long ceremonies like he had did?
Well, yes. For the most part. Not everyone does it in the same way, and obviously it's not the same all over the world, but usually people get some sort of funeral when they pass on.
She was quiet as she considered his answer.
That's a strange question to ask, but I guess this is her first funeral.
You said everyone has one, right?
Well, yes. Mostly.
Did my mama have a funeral?
Damn. Ji-Yu.
You said almost everyone gets one. If she had one, why couldn't I go?
Not every single person gets a funeral, and Yoonbum's family might have decided not to hold one for him.
But, did he get one?
I'm sorry, Ji-Yu. I don't know.
Do you know where he's buried?
I don't know.
Can't you ask? Shouldn't there be some type of record on file?
Ji-Yu, I don't think we should continue this conversation. It's not healthy for you to be thinking so much about that man.
I don't care!
Seungbae, shocked by her outburst, whipped his head over to look at her. He hadn't heard her raise her voice since she was an adolescent. Tears streamed down her face and her clasped hands shook with her sobs.
When he had died, it hurt, didn't it? It felt like you couldn't breathe. A big hole opened in the middle of your chest. Right? You know why it hurt, don't you? Because that was your mother. Yeonbum was my mom. I don't care that it's biologically impossible for him to be. My mom died, just like yours. You, of all people, should now know how I feel. The only difference between us is you got to say goodbye, but I didn't. That's not fair!
Ji-Yu covered her face with her hands and cried. Seungbae was speechless, not because he wasn't sure what to say. It was that she had accurately described exactly how he felt.
Okay, Ji-Yu. I understand. I'll see what I can do.
Ji-Yu had grown even more distant after that night.
She hasn't talked to me at all. I'm starting to forget what her voice sounds like. This is just like right after she moved in with me.
After sharing a quiet breakfast, Seungbae walked her to the subway station where they parted ways. When he finally made it to the precinct, he made his way to his desk and ran into his patrol partner.
Morning, Suri.
Seungbae, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. I hate to do this, but do you mind doing me a favor?
Sure, what's up?
I'm afraid I've fallen behind on some of my reports. Could you cover for me while I log a few things in the evidence room?
Oh, of course. Just let me know when you're done. I know it's such a headache to have to inspect each piece of evidence and add it to a report. Take your time.
Thanks. I'll be on my way then. Phew, that went smoothly. Okay, let's see if we can find any info on Yoonbum in the evidence system.
Seungbae walked into the evidence room and locked the door behind him. There was a computer terminal next to the door that had evidence logged by cases, names and dates. He quickly typed in Yoonbum's name and set the date to roughly 5 years prior. It returned a long list of results. He scrolled through the page and stopped when he read a line. Urn, contains remains, unclaimed. Family refused to be associated with the deceased. Seungbae sighed.
Poor bastard. Should I do it? Let's see what else is in here.
He scanned the rest of the results. Most of them were things that had played big roles in the investigation and that he never wanted Ji-Yu to see. He stopped again as he read another line. Kitchen knife. Blood found on blade is DNA matched to Sangwoo. Seungbae took a deep breath.
There's no mention of the prints found on the handle. Good. Glad that sick man can't hurt anyone else. All these people he killed. I knew I was right about his parents.
He found a few family photos in the evidence room, but only 2 included Yoonbum. The rest were pictures of Ji-Yu as an infant and toddler. It seemed that there were no pictures of her found past the age of 5. Seungbae took 2 pictures and photocopied them onto glossy paper. He also printed out Yoonbum's mugshot, high school identification photo and military license picture. Save the hairstyles, he looked the same in each one.
This is the best I can do.
The urn sat on his mind. He looked at the pictures he held in his hand.
I wish I could do more, Ji-Yu. I really wish I could.
Ji-Yu's facial expression didn't change as Seungbae placed the cardboard box before her.
I've thought about what you said, and you're right. It's not fair you didn't get a chance to send your mother off.
He opened the box and placed the ceramic urn onto the table.
So, let's say goodbye. Together.
At first, Ji-Yu just stared at the urn on the table, but when Seungbae spread the pictures he had printed at the precinct onto the table, she jumped into his arms.
Thank you, Sangwoo. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Her small shoulders shook as she hugged him. He rubbed her back and let her cry.
A hug? I think this is the closest she's ever let me get to her. Maybe this was the right decision.
They held a small funeral service, just the two of them, complete with the burning of incense. Against his wishes, she took the urn with her to bed, saying simply,
I'm always able to sleep better with Mama.
He went to bed himself, trying to ignore how much the one piece of evidence he saw earlier nagged at him so much. But when he found he couldn't sleep, the detective in him wouldn't let his mind avoid it any longer. He mulled over the fact that the blade of the knife was covered in the blood of Sangwoo, but the handle held the prints of the meek girl sleeping with an urn in the other room. Seungbae groaned and rolled over.
That house was a complete bloodbath when I went inside. There's no way one little girl could do so much bloodshed. Just what exactly happened that night?
Ji-Hun was not supposed to be in his parents' bedroom.
It's now or never. If I get caught, I'm dead.
He warily listened for any sounds in the house as he searched through his father's coat pockets.
Come on. Where is it? I saw him put in here earlier.
His father bought a new car a few days ago. He remembered seeing him put the spare keys in his old coat's pocket. Ji-Hun figured that he wouldn't notice if it was missing. He growled with frustration as he realized both pockets were empty.
Where is it?
He pulled at his cropped hair.
Think! Quickly, before he finds you!
He abandoned the coat and started to slowly pull open his parents' dresser drawers. There were 6 of them in total, and he struck gold when he opened the 4th one.
Found it! Finally! Now, I need to let Mama know, and we can leave. We can be together. Just the 2 of us.
He turned and tiptoed to the stairs. Just as his foot hit the top stair, he saw his father place his foot on the bottom stair. His father looked up at him in surprise. Then his eyes landed on the keys he held firm in his grip. What the...
Oh, no. What do I do? What do I do?
Ji-Hun turned on his heel and ran back into the room. He heard his father thunder up the stairs behind him.
I need to hide.
Ji-Hun turned in a circle, but came up empty with finding a hiding place. His parents' room didn't even have a closet. He considered jumping out the window into the fluffy-looking snow on the ground. Ji-Hun, what the fuck are you doing up here?
Too late.
Ji-Hun tried to brace himself, but his father was quick and merciless in his assault. With a simple blow to the head, he found himself on the floor. His father hovered over him, his eyes wide and wild. Ji-Hun tried to push through the pain and stand, but a rough kick on his side put him right back onto the floor. I asked you a question, boy. He lifted Ji-Hun's head by his hair. I want an answer. Now.
I was looking for...
His father shook him roughly. For what? What the fuck do you need to be looking for in my room? Those are my car keys, you little shit. Where were you going with them? Ji-Hun could only hold on as his father manhandled him. His head was throbbing from the blow earlier, but his vision blackened when his father slammed his head onto the ground. He felt dizzy as his vision swam. He couldn't focus on anything, but he could feel his father dragging him to the top of the stairs.
This is it. I guess Mama was right. I tried, but it didn't work.
In that moment, he thought about living like this for the rest of his life, bloody and bruised.
No!
He thought about what new ways his father would find to hurt his mother.
No! I won't give up. I won't live like this. I will save Mama. I will do it. I can be a hero. I can do it.
Ji-Hun used all his strength in his body to lift the hand still holding the car keys. His father almost dragged him to the top of the stairs when Ji-Hun stabbed him in the leg with the keys as hard as he could. Gah! Motherfucker! Out of surprise and pain, he dropped Ji-Hun on the floor. Did you just stab me? Ji-Hun could see smears of blood on his hand and on the keys he still held in his grip. Ji-Hun shakily sat up and held out the bloody keys in front of him.
We're leaving. Mom and I will go together. Away from this bad house. Away from you. I hate you. I wish you'd just die.
Ji-Hun was cut off as his father smacked the keys out of his hand and lifted him by the shirt. The hell are you saying? And cutting me up with the keys? Have you lost your goddamn mind?
No! You're the crazy one! Leave me and Mama alone! We'll do anything to get away from you!
His father started to let out a low and measured laugh. I fucking knew it. I knew this would happen. You can't exist anymore. I won't let you. Looks like I failed as a parent and a son. He smiled gently at Ji-Hun and then slammed him against the wall at the top of the stairs.
Ah! Let me go!
He vainly struggled against his father's hold. Oh, Ji-Hun, listen to your daddy one last time. I thought I could change everything. I told myself once Bum and I were a family, then it would be fine. The past wouldn't matter. All of my sins would be forgiven. It would be fixed. And at first it was. But you just had to steal him away from me. Bum cared only for me. He would only look at me. The next thing I knew, all he talked about was Ji-Hun this, Ji-Hun that. But he's a natural mother, so I let it go. He was only doing his job. But that was a mistake. I should have told Lola to abort your ass as soon as I found out you were a girl. All of you women are the same. Heartless, selfish, and greedy. All you do is take, take, take. I never expected to raise the one thing I hate the most. How could I have known you would have grown up to be such a disappointment?
Carol? What? What the heck is he talking about?
Ji-Hun continued to struggle, but his father just smiled at him serenely. I'm sorry it had to end this way, son. I really am. I'll make it quick. Promise. The sound of his mother's voice at the bottom of the stairs caught both of their attention. Ji-Hun? Sangwoo? What are you doing?
Mama? I won't let you hurt her. We'll escape. Tonight. Together.
Ji-Hun raked his nails down his father's arm, eliciting a gasp of pain from him. He suddenly found his father's hand squeezing around his neck. You little fucker, I'll wring your damn neck! Out of the corner of his eye, he could see his mother start rushing up the stairs with her cane. Sangwoo, let him go! Stop it right now! Shut the hell up, Bum. Just shut up. Shut the fuck up. Listen to me. We've got to get rid of this pest. Look at us. He ruined everything. He took all your love. He ruined our marriage. We can start over if you want. I'll call Lola and we'll use your jizz this time. But this bastard has to die. No, stop hurting him, Ji-Hun. Sangwoo, stop. Leave him alone. Ji-Hun clawed at his father's hands when he found that he couldn't breathe. His head felt like it was going to burst and darkness threatened to blanket his eyes. But even in this state, he could see his mother raise her cane and start hitting his father with it. Put him down! You get away from him! At this point, between trying to get air to breathe and fight through the pain he was already in earlier from the blow to the head, Ji-Hun couldn't see anything. His vision had darkened so much that he could only see shadows. He listened to the exchange between his parents as his strength left him. Get the fuck off me, Bum! The pressure on Ji-Hun's neck loosened and he could tell that his father only held him up with one hand. He heard his parents briefly scuffle, and then his mother yelp followed by a sickening sound. He then heard something tumble down the stairs. Bum? The vice around his neck completely disappeared and he dropped to the ground. Ji-Hun was finally able to breathe, and as he choked on air his vision cleared. Confused by the sudden quietness, he looked up at his father's stunned face and then looked down the stairs. His mother was lying on the floor at the bottom. She wasn't moving. Her limbs jutted out unnaturally and her neck was bent at a weird angle. His father suddenly bounded down the stairs. Bum! Babe! Please open your eyes. Don't do this to me, Bum. You said you'd stay with me forever. Fuck! He shook her shoulder over and over. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he yelled into her face. She didn't respond.
Mama?
Abruptly, Ji-Hun stood next to his father and looked into his mother's blank eyes. One eyelid was half-masked and the other slightly closed.
Yes, Mama?
His father glared at him through his tears. Are you happy? Look at what you've done. You couldn't just take his love, you had to take him too.
We're supposed to live tonight, together. It was not accident.
His father only sobbed in response as he rocked back and forth with Ji-Hun's mother in his arms. When his father looked up again, his face was just 3 holes where his eyes and mouth would be. The holes gushed dark blood like 3 faucets. The blood drenched his mother and started flooding the house. His mother reached out and grabbed his ankle. Her hand was wet and clammy. When he looked at her face, her neck was still bent at a strange angle, and her eyes bulged from her head. Ji-Hun, why? Why didn't you listen to me? You promised me you wouldn't try anything. Look at me, sweetie. His mother's pupils moved to lock eyes with his. They were small and beady, boring small needles into him. Her face warped as he looked at her through his tears. Because of you, I'm dead. Ji-Yu woke up in the dark. Her heart raced, but she'd had that dream so many times. It hardly seemed to faze her.
At least I don't wake up screaming anymore.
She checked her alarm clock on the side table. The bright red LED display read 3:15 a.m.
Guess I'm not getting a full night's worth of sleep today.
She threw the covers off and padded barefoot into the living room. She noticed that her guardian's shoes were absent from their usual spot near the door.
He did say he might not come in tonight. I guess Seungbae is pulling another all-nighter.
She found the remote and turned on the TV. The living room danced with shadows as the news blared into the dark room. She went into the kitchen and grabbed her favourite cereal box and returned to the living room. She flopped onto the couch and switched the news over to the DVD. After the DVD player powered on, the title screen came to life with various drawings of her favourite superhero. She snuggled into the couch and pressed play, munching on the cereal all the while.
I wonder if there will be a time when I don't have that dream on a weekly basis.
Flaming Laser Man jumped on a thief robbing a bank.
I don't think so, Buster. Time to face justice.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
Ji-Yu stuck her yellow umbrella in the drying rack next to the door. She had just returned from the nearby convenience store with a bag of snacks and ramen. Mostly ramen. She wasn't sure when Seungbae would return. When she was younger, he managed to get home the same time she did after school. But now that he was a big shot detective, he was hardly home.
He works so hard. I hope that he's resting well.
She shrugged off her raincoat and took her snacks to her room. She had a few emails she knew she had been avoiding, and completing them on such a dreary day seemed fitting. But when she opened the bedroom door, she dropped her bags.
Why?
She took a deep breath.
Why are you here? Get out! Get out right now!
Her father looked up when she spoke. He opened his arms wide. Oh, come now, Ji-Hun. Is that any way to talk to your father? The heavy metallic smell of blood hung in the air. She knew that the origin of the smell came directly from him. He was practically covered in blood. It was slathered all over his arms, torso and legs. The sharp butcher knife he held in his hand was soaked in it as drops of it ran off the blade and dripped all over the floor. He was wearing nothing but black briefs.
Leave me alone. I have nothing to say to you other than get out! You have done nothing but to ruin my life, so I don't want to hear a word that you have to say.
He frowned and took a step toward his child. So much for a warm welcome, and here I came in peace. He shrugged and blood splattered on Ji-Hun's bedding. I also love how you act all high and mighty when the only person in this room that's ever ruined someone's life, he raised the knife in her direction, is you.
Shut up! Just get out and leave, you sick bastard!
Oh, have I hit a nerve? You're getting a little defensive, son.
I am not your son! I'm not gonna tell you again! Get out of my sight!
See, here's the thing. He pulled out her desk chair and sat down. Everywhere he went left a trail of blood behind. For as long as you live, I will never leave you. His smile was tender. You of course are my one and only son, and you deserve to spend every day of the rest of your life being reminded of the horrible sin you committed. Even when you rot in hell, I will be there to watch you suffer. His face became emotionless as he spewed his next words full of vitriol. You deserve a life full of pain and suffering. You took the one thing away from me that made living bearable. As punishment, you will live with this guilt for the rest of your life, and even more after you're dead and gone. This is what you signed up for. This is what you deserve, you no-good, useless piece of shit. Ji-Yu had had enough.
Stop blaming me for everything! It was an accident!
He was up and out of his chair and yelling in her face within a heartbeat. I don't give a fuck what it was. You killed him. You killed your own mother in cold blood. Ji-Yu refused to be bullied by her father. She shouted back.
Shut up! I did not! It was an accident, and it was all your fault! I'm sick and tired of you following me around and throwing this in my face! Just leave me alone! Go back to wherever the hell you came from and stay the fuck out of my life!
Ji-Yu.
The hand placed on her shoulder worked as an anchor and brought Ji-Yu back to reality. Throwing her head side to side, she tried to spot her deranged father, but he was nowhere to be seen. The computer chair was empty, her bedding devoid of bloodstains, and the metallic heavy smell of blood was gone.
Ji-Yu, can you hear me? Is everything alright?
Seungbae, I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. I hope you didn't hear some of that.
She tried to shake off the hand on her shoulder, but as she made to move, Seungbae twirled her around and wrapped her in a hug.
Seungbae, where are you?
It's okay. Ji-Yu, it's okay to lean on me sometimes. I'm always here for you. You know that, right?
He tightened his hold and she responded in kind, wiping her damp eyes on his chest.
My hero came to the rescue again.
After a few moments, she abruptly pulled away.
Okay, that's enough emotional stuff today. I'm already drained, Seungbae. And why are you here? Won't the missus come calling for you soon?
Seungbae ruffled her hair.
Suri's not the missus just yet, and I'm here because I wanted to check in with you and see how the interview went.
Ji-Yu tried to hide her cringe, but he saw right through it.
Oh no, that bad?
The worst. You better not have listened to it.
He looked off into the corner and didn't answer.
I told you not to listen.
How can I not? I'm very proud of you, Ji-Yu. You've come so far. I wanted to give you a reward for working so hard and doing your best.
Huh? Reward?
I know you've been wanting barbecue. Look, your mouth's already watering.
She wiped at the drool leaking out of her mouth.
No, I'm not.
Sure. Come on. Let's go now so we can beat the rush.
He picked up her bag of snacks and held it out to her. She smiled and took her bag from him. After putting on her shoes and grabbing her messenger bag, she followed him out of the shared apartment.
You know, I think I'm gonna miss this place when we move. But I'm more than capable of getting my own place now. You don't have to keep looking after me.
Oh no, you don't. Suri and I both love having you around. Don't even try to wiggle out of it now, Miss Fancy Author.
I just feel bad. Like I'm messing with your honeymoon or something.
For the 100th time, Ji-Yu, you are perfectly fine. No, you are not a burden. No, you are not a bad omen for our marriage. No, we don't think having you in our home will tarnish our reputations. Is that all of them, or am I missing some?
She shrugged.
I'm just plain bad luck.
No to that too. Anyway, you promised you'd come live with us. It would break my heart if you reneged just a few months before we even moved into the new place.
They had made it to the elevator at the end of their hall by this point. While waiting for it to get to their floor, Ji-Hun studied Seungbae.
He has got a lot more grey going on his hair than when I first met him. I know some of it has to be from me. He has done so much. I don't even know how to thank him.
The elevator dinged as it reached their floor. Ji-Yu smacked him with her bag before boarding.
Okay, old man, I believe you. I promise I won't leave you and Suri hanging.
That means the world to us. Wait, old man.
While Ji-Yu started laughing at Seungbae's reaction, she had hardly noticed the third person on board the elevator. Sangwoo leaned against the side wall, smiling peacefully at the bloody knife in his hand. As Ji-Yu regained her composure, she studied her father. She noticed the bags under his eyes, the muscles rippling under his taut skin. He looked tired. But no matter how many singular features she picked out, she couldn't help seeing a demon every time he was in her sights. He was the reason why she was the way she was. He was the reason why she could never see her mother again, and she hated him for all of it. She hated him so much, but one thought had always comforted her when she would dwell on how much he had ruined her life.
I will never be like him.
Sangwoo smirked at her. He stepped forward, twirling the knife in his hand. We'll see about that, son. You think you'll be normal like your hero? He doesn't know about what you did in the basement. He doesn't know what you did to me. You're my flesh and blood. We're one and the same, Ji-Hun. In the next moment he vanished, and Seungbae waved a hand in front of her face to catch her attention.
Hey, are you listening? Ji-Yu?
I will prove you wrong, you piece of shit, father. I'll become someone Mama can be proud of. I'll show you. Yeah, sorry. I was just tipping thought.
Okay, well tell me. What's next? Any amazing plans after this book becomes an international bestseller?
She rolled her eyes at Seungbae's biased optimism, but regarded his question seriously.
You know, I've been thinking. I'm already 20 years old now.
Yes, you are. Great observation.
The elevator finally made it to the lobby and they stepped out together.
I think it's about time that I try my hand at college. I don't know what I would major in, but I'm sure I would figure it out.
Shocked, Seungbae struggled to give an adequate response. He had begged Ji-Yu to attend college for the past few years, but he never pushed her to. He couldn't believe she was finally actually considering it.
Oh, that sounds like a great idea. I have a friend who works at the nearby university. Maybe I could ask if he could give you advice on what program will suit you best.
Seungbae held open the glass door to their building's entrance for her, but she stepped and savoured the look of absolute glee on her caretaker's face. She couldn't help but giggle. He looked just like a little boy who received the best Christmas gift ever. She stepped through the door, the stormy rain clouds now replaced with the warm rays of the sun.
I think I'd like that.